Okay, one thing we're going to go over has to do with solubility. And we know that how much of a substance dissolves depends upon the amount of water present. And in this graph, you can see that we have 100 grams of H2O that they're talking about. So when we take a look at this graph, we have 4 different substances. You can see the KNO3 has a big climb on how much can dissolve as the temperature changes. So that shows it's greatly affected by increase in temperature and how much can dissolve in 100 grams of water. And NaCl down here, it doesn't dissolve near as much as the temperature goes up. It kind of gradually climbs. It looks like about only a 2 or 3 gram difference with sodium chloride as the temperature goes up. So looking at that information, we're just going to use the graph temperature in which to tell if a solution's saturated, unsaturated, or supersaturated. Okay, so saturated means that the solution has the maximum amount of solute dissolved. Okay, so each one of these lines that are here along this line represents a point where it is saturated, that amount. So like if we stop right here, and we go up at it looks like about 32 degrees, it has a saturation level of 50 grams. If I only had, for example, 20 grams dissolved, that would be undersaturated, or we call it unsaturated. If it's on the line, it's saturated. It's above the line, we call that supersaturated. And sometimes you can get that depending upon what you can do to manipulate the solution. Okay? So undersaturated, or we call unsaturated, is where the solution is below the maximum amount. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple problems and then we'll bring supersaturated in here in a second. So here's one problem. What's the mass in grams of potassium nitrate will dissolve in 100 grams at 60 degrees Celsius? So it wants to know the total amount, and that would be the saturated level. So we find 60 degrees Celsius for potassium nitrate. Right here, 60. Okay, and then we go over. It looks like to be 102. So that would be the maximum amount. So whatever you hit on that line is the maximum amount, or called the saturated level. So the answer for this first one would be 102 grams. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry, 102 up here. The next one's asking about potassium chloride. Same temperature. So potassium chloride, same temperature, we go up, same line, and over. Looks like to be about 45 grams. So you can dissolve quite a bit less of that. It's just its nature doesn't allow you to dissolve as much saturated. So that'd be about 45 grams. Okay. So third question says you dissolve 25 grams of KNO3 in 100 grams of water at 30 degrees Celsius, producing an unsaturated solution. How much more KNO3 can you dissolve to form a saturated solution? So it's saying we've dissolved 25 grams in, how much more could we dissolve in? Okay, so we'll go back. That's at 30 degrees Celsius. So we go back to our list. And so at 30 degrees Celsius, we go up. And it's a KNO3. We go over. The maximum amount is 45 grams. Okay, and we're dissolving 25 grams in, is what it says, is dissolved, and it can hold 45 grams. So the question is, how much more can you dissolve? Well, the difference between those two is 20 grams. So we can dissolve 20 more grams. That would be the answer for that particular one. So we can dissolve 20 more grams. Okay. All right. We'll go on and finish this last question. So I guess there's two. What is the minimum mass in grams at 30 degrees Celsius needed to dissolve in 25 grams? Of course, that's 45. Okay, this one here we'll answer later on. Okay, we won't do that one right now. So we'll go down to the next one. You place 50 grams of NaCl in 100 grams of water at 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, so we'll go back to our chart. So this is at 30 degrees Celsius. So we're at 30 degrees Celsius for 100 NaCl. Intersect there. There it looks like for NaCl, 30 degrees Celsius, it's 38. So we've got 50 and 38 would be saturated. So it's oversaturated. Okay? Well, it's saturated because some of it won't dissolve. So classify each solution as saturated or unsaturated. It's saturated because it's whole. You're dissolving 38 grams. Of that 50 grams, how much will dissolve? 38 grams. Okay, and then where's the rest of it? The rest of it hasn't dissolved, it's sitting on bottom. So,
Jared Humble, can you come to the front office? Jared Humble, come to the front office, please.
so what you'll see is solid on the bottom of a saturated solution, because not all of it can dissolve. So you'll have a worksheet that you can look off of. We'll just let you go ahead and look at this one. If you're not here in class, you can just work off of that one. And in supersaturated, I'll give you that definition later. So you just go ahead and work on your worksheet associated with that.